Drawing from your photos.
Okay, so we're going to use the photographs that we've taken to develop some studies. For this task, you're going to need a selection of different art pencils and some willow charcoal or some compressed charcoal, or a mixture of both, whatever you like to use. For this task, I'm just going to be working on A5 paper. You can work on any size you like. The reason I've chosen to work on A5 is because I intend on really focusing on detail, and I feel like I can achieve that better on a smaller scale. But of course, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit further, absolutely scale up. Okay, so to get started, there are two different types of artists or learners. One type is somebody who wants to just draw freehand and try and get it accurate as possible. Somebody else might have a better way of accuracy by using perhaps a ruler, or even using a grid over the top of the photographs to try and get it exactly right. So whichever type of learner you are, absolutely use the method that you prefer to use. The first thing you're going to need to do is select a photograph that interests you. I was fortunate enough to go to Dover Castle, and I managed to get a selection of different photographs from the castle and some up close images, which I'm going to work from today. It's really important that you are really inspired by the photograph that you're using, and make sure that compositionally it works well. If it doesn't work compositionally as a photograph, it's not going to translate well as a drawing. Okay, so I'm going with this archway. This was a doorway at Dover Castle, and I'm just going to start with a HB pencil to sketch it out. As I said earlier, two different types of people: those who just go for it straight away, freehand, and then those who prefer to use a ruler or other drawing methods, like graphical methods, to get it absolutely perfect. I'm the kind of person just to sort of go in freehand, making sure that I'm using my observational skills to really look at what it is I'm drawing. And then, you know, if you want to introduce a ruler for really straight edges, you can do, but it's really good practice to try and get it done freehand. I've chosen a symmetrical image, which makes things a little bit tricky for me, but I'm just going to do my best just to really concentrate on all of those lines on my image. Another thing that's made this a little bit easier in terms of tone is I edited the image in black and white, so this has created a wider tonal variation, and it's allowing me to see the contrast a little bit easier. So when it comes to adding the shading to the drawing, I'll see exactly where to apply that. Remember to sketch lightly, use broken lines, try not to draw the line exactly as you see it in one stroke, because that often won't work out. And also make sure you've got a rubber to hand. Okay, I'm just really now relying on my observation skills. I'm going to just really concentrate on trying to get this as realistic as I can. Okay, once you're happy with your sketch, you can start adding a little bit more tonal variation, some light and shadows using a softer pencil. So I started with a HB pencil for my original sketch. I'm going to put that to one side, and now I'm going to start adding some detail with my 4B pencil. Looking at my photograph again and just looking at where all those darker areas are, and just try and get a little bit of definition. Okay, I'm going to stop there. You know you've done a good job if you've got graphite on your fingers. I could continue this drawing and complete the other side, but I'm quite happy to leave it as it is. It's really good practice to use tone and to use the different graded pencils as well. Yeah, no, quite happy with that. One top tip would be that you need to make sure that your pencils are nice and sharp. They've got a nice sharp point, because if you lose that, you're going to lose a lot of definition in your detail. Okay, yeah, happy with that. I'm going to move that to one side, and I'm going to continue to work on A5 paper. But this time I'm going to select an alternative photograph to work from. I'm still going to concentrate on detail from my Dover Castle images, but this time I'm going to have a go at using charcoal. So I'm going to start with willow charcoal. Willow charcoal is a good way to get started with charcoal. Because it can be rubbed away, it can be erased, and it's usually a lot thinner as well, so it's easier to handle. It still doesn't have a point on it, so an alternative might be a charcoal pencil. If you've got any charcoal pencils, they're really nice medium to work with. But I'm just going to give this a go, and I'm going to have a go at using my my detail image here. Just to work from. I'm not trying to recreate the entire picture, but I'm just going to pick out parts of it to work from. I'm going to start with willow charcoal, but I may well start adding some compressed charcoal, because that will give me a darker line to work with. If you prefer to draw it out with pencil first lightly, maybe with a HB pencil, that's also quite a good idea. I'm just this kind of person who just wants to get straight in there and give it a go before working out if I need to make any adjustments. And don't worry about charcoal smudging, it's just the nature of the medium. It does smudge as you're working. Once you've finished working and you're happy with your piece, you can always spray it with a fixative, or if you don't have specialist fixative, you can use hairspray. Just a cheap hairspray will keep it in place, and it will stop it from smudging where you don't want it to. So really carefully just looking at your photograph. Remember, observational skills should be 60% looking at the picture. This is just my advice. 60% looking at the picture and just 40% looking at your own drawing that you're creating. This way you're going to get a really good likeness. Some people don't like the sound of the charcoal on the paper. To see, some people find that a little bit cringy, but give it a go. I'm just using the charcoal, the compressed charcoal now in the darkest areas of the piece, just to really add that contrast. Okay, and then I'm going to show you an alternative way to use charcoal. Okay, so you can, with your charcoal, just leave it as it is. You don't have to smudge it, you don't have to blend it. You can just leave it as it is. Or you can use your finger or a piece of rag or something like that to blend it to create the tonal variation. Or if you want to try something new, something you can do is you can use a brush and water to blend it. So this is something I sort of discovered by accident when I was studying art at college, and I loved it so much that I based my entire project on this process. So just looking still at your photograph, work out where it is you need to build tone, and we're going to just use the water over the top to create that tonal variation. And I just think this is such a lovely way of working. It creates this really nice texture because the charcoal doesn't, you can still see the marks that you've made underneath. It doesn't completely smudge away, but it does create this really nice texture and variation of tone. So don't apply water all over it. Look really carefully at your image and work out where you need to add it. You'll find that compressed charcoal really stays, whilst willow is easier to sort of wash away. So it's quite nice to use a variety of both. But I am absolutely loving this texture that it creates. And then in the same way that you set a charcoal drawing, you can just apply some hairspray to this once it's dry. Allow the water to dry first. Use a smaller brush for finer detail. And then you can even use some of the like the wet areas. You can actually use your brush to create some of the detail on your photo. So it's just a really nice way of working. If you've never had this, have a go at this, give it a try. This is a really good sort of topic to try this technique with. I'm going to leave that as it is, but there you go. Give it a go yourself, or if you prefer to leave your charcoal dry, then have a go at just blending with your finger.